everybody. Welcome into the Arena Multi-Platform Gaming News Podcast. This is episode 207, and I'm your host, Expat, along with my contributor, LeaTheHatless. Leah,
Hello,
welcome
I'm
back. How
back.
you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Excited because we officially have the new Switch. Yes,
Yes, we
finally
have
got
the
here.
news about the Switch too. So we're going to be talking about this entire episode. We're going to talk about the Switch 2 announcements, the games that are going to be coming for it, all kinds of news pertaining to it, and our reactions. I'm going to talk about that. But first, before we get into that, Leah, what game have you been playing? Because it's been a while since I've talked to you. So, what game are you working on right now?
I went back to the Switch, so I played a bit of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, which I
Hmm.
had. It's for the mobile, and it's almost like a full Animal Crossing for mobile. And I started playing Breath of the Wild again.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So like I haven't played it in forever. I'm like, ah, what am I gonna play next? Yeah, Breath of the Wild sounds good.
Nice.
And of course, my big addiction of the moment, Civilization 7, because I can't stop playing it. Let's be honest, it's just
Okay, so
one
are
more
you,
turn.
if you get the Switch 2 now, which I know you will at some point, are you going to play Civilization 7 on the Switch 2?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it's one of the things that kind of make me want to buy the console. It's the mouse feature. That's really
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Super cool.
Well, on my
And
end, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, and please check out my walkthrough videos.
oh
I
yeah,
have a bunch of walkthrough
oh
videos up
cool.
now here on the channel, and yeah, I'm loving it. I'm in the fall season now, so the leaves have changed colors to that reddish color. It's so beautiful going through the countryside and everything, and and basically you're in Kansai area the majority of the game. But one pet peeve I have about this game, so in the typical Assassin's Creed game, you go to many areas and there are like observation points, and that
Yeah.
opens up fast travel, right?
Oh, okay.
And usually you have to climb up, like, some famous monument. You have to climb to the top, and that's what unlocks it, right? Well, the problem is you have two main characters, of course, Yasuke and Naue. And Naue, the shinobi, she has the rope and the hook that she can throw up and climb up the pagodas, to go to the
Okay,
top.
so no
Yeah.
problem there.
Whereas Yasuke cannot climb.
Oh no.
So
Poor man.
I was trying just offline, when I was playing by myself. I was trying to get Yasuke to climb up a pagoda. And it's like,
Not
there's no
happening.
way. Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean,
it was
he's
funny.
not built
So,
for that.
but the good thing is that you can switch between Yasuke and Naue. So it's like at that point when I was like,
Oh,
okay, I'm
okay.
giving up. Yasuke just is never going to climb up this pagoda. Then I just switched to Naue, and boom, like in 10 seconds, I, got
Okay. I love
got
it.
everything, taken care of in that
Oh,
instance.
yes.
But yeah, there are some little things about that. But the good thing about Naue's character, and I really like the story that they're portraying
Oh,
her
that's good.
in. And yes, there are historical elements to this game, and I talk about those in my walkthroughs. Yes, there are accuracies and inaccuracies, but it's a video game. But
Of course.
yeah, I love Naue's character, and of course the stealth elements for her. And then Yasuke, it's just brute force. I mean, so in certain areas, when you have enemies that might be at a higher level, it's probably prudent to use Yasuke in
Yeah.
those situations. Whereas if you're sneaking and having to get into certain corridors or whatever, it's best to use Naue. So
Okay.
and one other thing about Yasuke, he can like smash through doors, So
Oh,
if you just
that's
hold the left,
crazy.
if you hold the left thumbstick down and just charge, you'll smash through doors, like
Nice.
doors to the certain temples or doors to castles or something like that. Whereas now, it's you can't do that. But yeah, it's
Makes
fun
sense.
nonetheless, and it's a big game. It's a long one. I'm already 20 hours in, and I've
You
still got
have.
a long ways to go. And I've put out 6 videos, and I'm probably going to put out about 16 more. So before
I
I'm
bet
finished with
so.
it.
That
So
game should be around 40 hours, maybe.
Yeah, I think
So
about
like
40
halfway
hours.
through.
Yeah, to finish the story and everything, about around 40 hours, I'd say. So I'm about
That's good.
maybe close to halfway there, but yeah, it's a long way to
Nice.
go. And I'm going to try to get to finish it in another week or so because I want to get started with South of Midnight because that's the next
Oh
big
yeah,
game
it's
I want
coming
to
up.
play and do some walkthrough videos on that as well. But anyway, for this episode, we're talking about the Switch 2. So the direct, Leah, overall impressions. What were your initial thoughts on the presentation? What did you think? Myself, I really liked the presentation and how they described the hardware as well as showing all of those third party titles and everything that's coming to the Switch 2. So, what were your initial thoughts?
I mean, presentation of the Switch, loved it. Great, fantastic, explained everything really well. But like, there were some crazy ass revelations in this direct. Cause like, what do you mean? They're just gonna say, "Oh yeah, Silk Song is coming" in this little quick presentation. Oh, from software exclusive for the Switch. It's like, what do you mean? You're just gonna drop this on us. And I think it was great to understand where they're coming from, that this is really is like the next Switch. This is not a departure from the console we have so far.
Yeah,
It's just is the next Switch, and
yeah,
the focus is to improve and to, create a better experience and things that were lacking in the first console. And I'm gonna, I read the developers interviews. I'm gonna add a couple of knowledge here that I got from those, and they started working on this console in 2019.
hmm
And that
that's a
was
long time.
basically,
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
yeah,
And they basically said we don't want the developers of software to have to adjust to our hardware. We want our hardware to adjust to the software developers. So
mm,
we want to create a next Switch
yeah,
where we welcome games and we get games like the space they need to shine. So we're gonna collaborate with this developers and improve the hardware, improve the processing power or something like that that
right.
they need. And there was a collaboration between these people. And a fun fact, like over 100 people overall worked on the Switch to develop this console,
Wow.
which is crazy. And they
Yeah,
said it was like a crazy party that they
yeah,
joined together
yeah.
to create this. So
So
it was
I'm
fun.
showing Mario Kart World here, and I was a little surprised that it wasn't titled Mario Kart 9. So they decided to call it Mario Kart World here. So
Yeah, because World
hmm,
kind of describes the game a bit better, right? Because
yeah,
it is a big world that you just walk around, and in the treehouse presentation, they really showed that you can, in free mode, you can enter the races, the
yeah,
places of the race, and you
yeah,
can explore freely and maybe like discover things you didn't know before when you
yeah,
are on the track and you can't get away.
yeah, and the
It
weather elements as well, and all of
Yeah, it's
that.
just
Yeah,
there's so much into this
so
game.
much,
It's
and
crazy.
24 players. Yeah, 24 can yeah
Yeah, that's
enter.
insane.
Yeah,
But
so
it's great for multiplayer because you can add more people and everyone can just join in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in big
So
multiplayer parties.
now on the hardware aspect of this, I just want to mention a 7.9-inch 1080p LCD screen. LCD, right? So were you
Yeah.
surprised that they didn't come out with an OLED model initially?
Yes, I was pretty sure, but then
Yeah.
I understood that like okay, the processing power, there's more like 256 gigabytes of memory. Like
And 12 gig of
we have
RAM, I think it's
to,
going to be.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you have to compromise somewhere. And from what I've seen of people trying the console, the LCD looks pretty great. So it's definitely better than the one they have on the original Switch. So maybe the impact won't be as big as as it was a transition from the original Switch to the OLED, because that was like day and night.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people have been comparing it to the OLED model, They brought
Hmm.
their Switch, and they say in terms of screen, and you can see like the difference is pretty minimal. And even if it is an LCD, like they have HDR, and it really improves the image. So
Right.
it's kind of impressive what they were able to do with an LCD screen.
Yeah, but you know that there's going to be an OLED model at some point.
Oh yeah.
There's going to be a mid generation upgrade, of course. Yeah, and
Yeah, I feel
yeah,
like when you get to like year 3 or 4, maybe like we're gonna get
yeah,
an OLED
yeah.
for sure.
Exactly, exactly. And all the peripherals that are coming with this thing. I mean, they have like a new Switch. Let me go ahead and like the Switch 2 Pro controller that's
Oh
coming with
yeah,
it, as well as let me go
the
ahead and
cam.
get this off here. But yeah, so many different peripherals uh, and a camera when it comes to
Yes.
the the C button that they're going to have with it. So let me go ahead and yeah, get this going here. So yes, I'll
Though
show the photo here. Yeah, so there's the
that's a
camera.
great camera.
Yeah, yeah,
and
but I
and
mean, but fifty
and when
dollars. I mean, you're gonna pay $50 for a little camera? I
oh
don't
wait,
know.
it gets better because there
Yeah.
is one in one of our local stores. There's
Uh-huh.
the shape of a piranha from Mario. Like your
Uh-huh.
camera, it's a little vase and there's a piranha. It's like what the heck?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Ah, it's just great. I love it. The thing is, like, they explained this like with game chat as well, that the
Mhm.
concept for the camera and game chat and all of that was a developer tool that came in COVID when they
Mhm.
were doing development at home, obviously, and they decided, okay, like let's bring this to the next console. This is really something that we need to bring and improve. And the game chat is actually one of the important factors of this console. It's they wanted to feel like you were playing this like in a study room where everyone is gathering together.
Yeah.
And I was kind of impressed. They were explaining like they did have to do some adjustments because these cameras it's gonna be really fun what I'm gonna say right now. They were inspired in streaming. They want to feel like, okay, you're streaming your own game on the Switch. This is not made for streaming though, but
Yeah.
that is the feeling because this camera, I know it seems expensive, but
Yeah.
it's focused only on you, so you can blur the background. Like if you're far away or close, like it's gonna adjust. Same thing with the microphone. Like it has noise suppression. This is really advanced software. Like
Yeah.
it's not just like a normal camera that you just get. Like
Yeah.
they really made adjustments, so this is optimized for the Switch. So
Yeah.
if you're far
They're
away,
really
if you're in a group, this
yeah,
is really advanced technology.
they're really
Sorry.
pushing the multiplayer aspect of this and that C button, for the chat. And even the Switch 2 Pro controller that I showed just a minute ago, that has the C button on it as well. But
Yeah, like
I have the Pro controller for the first Switch. I'm probably and it's compatible with the Switch too, so I'm probably gonna continue using that one for a while. If I want to use the chat button, I'll use the Joy Cons, So,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And this chat feature,
Hmm.
the button came a bit later. Like they're already
Yeah.
working on the new controllers, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, can you add a button for the chat?" And they're like, "No." But
Yeah.
eventually they're like, find a solution. It's like
Yeah.
you're giving us more work to do. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's quite interesting that they came later in development. That like the controls were already being made when they added that button. So
Yeah.
that was pretty interesting to know.
Now, I know you're going to be playing Civ 7
Oh
on the
yeah.
Switch 2 eventually when you get it. So, will you use the Joy-Cons in the using the mouse like functionality at all with that game or any other particular games?
You know, I think the mouse game is a game changer. And not just for Civilization, but for a lot of games like
Well, like Fortnite.
Metroid,
Yeah, those type of
Fortnite,
games. Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
games you wouldn't automatically assume, but like with Animal Crossing, to
Hmm.
build and create like little designs, the mouse is so much better. Same
Yeah.
thing for games like Stardew Valley and things like that. So it's like the cozy gamers out there, they're loving this mouse feature because they're like, oh
Yeah.
yes, now I can finally build like with a mouse
Yeah.
feature. Um, yeah,
And this is from over at IGN. This of course news story, and I put the link just a little while ago in for
yeah,
all of
all
you
the
to
games
check
are
out if you
coming.
want to. Yes, and these are all the games that are going to be coming, and a big list of games and enhancements to some original Switch games as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think first of all, let's put the message: your games are gonna work on the Switch too. Okay,
the
when they were
majority of
developing
them. Yes, the majority of
like
them. Yes.
all of them, like they tested around
Yeah.
10,000 games or
Uh
something
huh.
crazy like that,
Uh huh.
and they all seem to work well on the Switch too. And
Hmm.
the whole uh, concept of why like there's this two editions is hardware related. So
Yeah.
unlike previous iterations where the Game Boy and the Nintendo DS, for example, where there was a bit of the hardware of that on the DS,
Hmm.
there's no hardware from the Switch 1 in the Switch 2. It was designed from scratch.
Yeah.
So basically, it's designed to read these like super fast SSD
Hmm.
cards.
Yeah.
So what happens when you insert the game is that it reads the information and
Hmm.
it translates it in real time to work on the Switch too. So like
Yeah.
by having the improved edition, like the processing is faster, like it doesn't have to process the card to read it the information.
Yeah.
But it's gonna work. Like it's not because they when they were developing they were like, okay, we don't want like players are gonna assume that the Switch games are gonna work on the Switch too. That's why we
Yeah.
called it the Switch 2. So that was their one of their main concerns while developing this. So
Yeah.
people don't need to worry about and freak out like your games are gonna work. Like
Right.
it's fine. And for the most part, I also hear a lot of concerns about the cards, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cards are not all online codes. Like the Nintendo first party titles, you have the full game as you would
Hmm.
have in a normal card.
Hmm.
But games like perhaps Cyberpunk, and if you play the PlayStation, you're used to this where you buy the game, but once you buy the game, like when you first insert the disc, you have to download more information because it can't be all contained on the disc.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what's happening here. Like if the game is big, like you have a lot of information, it will be downloaded in the first use,
Yeah.
and then after that, it just works normally. Like it's stored in the cartridge or in the console or something. You can just play.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah,
Now,
just
I want to
a couple
I
of
want to talk a little bit about this third party support because that was one of the Achilles heels of the original Switch was the fact that
mm-hmm.
not the big titles were coming to the Switch. You know, those titles like the Bloodborns that were coming out were only on either the PlayStation or on the Xbox or on PC. But now, boy, oh boy, in this direct, we got a bunch of third party support and the games that are
Everything is
coming out for it.
coming.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, new games like kind of a Bloodborne spin-off. Uh, we, that's going to be coming. Of course, Elden Ring is going to be coming. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be coming.
Yeah,
Hades
I was
2 is going to be, making its way to the Switch at launch. You know,
and I
um,
was really
yeah,
surprised as well as like Star Wars Outlaws is coming. It's like
Outlaws is
so
coming as
many
well.
things.
Yeah.
Split Fiction as well.
Yeah, all of this
So
list here that I'm showing here. So ton
yeah,
of games.
that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Split Fiction. Yeah. So the Madden games. So yeah, and a new 007 Project 007 that's coming as well.
Yeah,
Uh, but
that was very surprising as
but for
well.
me, the one here, this is
Oh
the one I'm
yes,
looking forward to the most. The most Hyrule Warriors. Yes,
same. I was like,
Age of Imprisonment.
finally.
Yes, yes. Because
It
I
took them
played
so long.
Yeah, the Hyrule Warriors on the original Switch. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this one, and
Me too.
it's a co-project with Nintendo and Koei Tecmo. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
is like, and this is really interesting because it is like an official story. So like the first
yeah,
one, Hyrule Warriors, was the first, like what happened before Breath of the Wild. Now this is what happened like before
before
the
Tears of the
events.
Kingdom. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's for if you're a fan of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, these are kind of mandatory
right,
games if you
right.
want to get into the story a bit more.
Yeah,
And I think the craziest was definitely, I think you passed it already, was the Delta Rune
uh
being
huh,
announced. So, oh yeah, coming fully to the Switch this year, as well as Silk Song. Like, people
yeah,
were for years like, okay, is this game coming or not? And then,
yeah.
yeah, it is. Oh, look, in 3 seconds, it's coming this year.
Yeah,
But
Borderlands
it's
4
really,
also it's going to be coming to the
yeah, like,
Switch too, you know. And I've always played Borderlands on the PlayStation, so I'm really interested to see how that's going to run on the Switch too. Uh
same thing with games like Hogwarts Legacy, which had a
yeah,
very
yeah,
adjusted edition
yeah,
for the Switch. So now maybe it will probably run just like it would in like PlayStation 4, for example. So that's very interesting.
yeah, yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, that Bloodborne type of game too. That's going to be really interesting to see and how that works. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but what
everything
what
is
what?
great.
But one thing that I kind of was scratching my head over was the welcome tour. Uh, the I
Yeah,
mean,
that one.
why do you make people? Why do you charge gamers for a tutorial? I mean, it's just I don't understand that.
I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be like I don't know, like Wii Sports when it came in the Wii, where it was just like,
yeah,
okay, we're including this for you to kind of test the waters on what's different. But like, how much are
yeah,
they charging for it? Because it's like if it's like 1, 2 to like €5, dollar, whatever the currency, I think that's
yeah,
acceptable. But like more
yeah,
than that is a bit of a head
yeah.
scratch to me.
Yeah,
Like,
and then the Switch Online. We've got the GameCube games that
oh
are
yeah, that was very
finally
exciting.
coming. Yeah, it's
Finally.
a finally. Yeah,
And and Animal
yeah,
Crossing fans were super excited because the first original Animal
yeah,
Crossing was
yeah,
released on the GameCube. So they're like,
yeah,
maybe it's coming.
yeah. So that From
Yeah,
Software
that's
game,
so.
it's called the Dusk Bloods. So
Yeah.
yeah, kind of a like a vampire esque type of type of Bloodborne kind of game, I guess you could say. But we don't know much about it yet. But they say it's coming in 2026, but we'll see. But
I
yeah,
hope
I
so.
mean, but that's really interesting that all these big games are going to start coming to the Switch. So now a lot of the media out there is starting to come out with stories saying that the console wars are back. Switch is throwing their hat in again. I don't think so. I think you
No.
know this is really good news. Making partnerships again and having these development companies working together to bring games also to the Switch. I still think most of these big games are still going to the majority of them are going to be bought by PlayStation players or Xbox players or PC players. But to have it on the Switch and to have another option, I think is really great. So
Yeah, obviously,
yeah,
like that was not the intent at all when making this console. Like, it
exactly.
was
Yeah,
literally like we want to give you an improved Switch, and their goal, the developers is still like we want people to have fun, and
right,
to like really enjoy our console, and that's why game chat is such a huge part of this. And
right.
fun fact, you can with the Switch one, and like when you have other consoles, you have to manually transfer. But with the
Yeah,
Switch 2, as long as you have a Switch account, you can automatically transfer everything to the Switch 2. So
right.
whatever you have on your Switch 1, the transition is way more seamless for this one. So that's great. Like they're listening to us of like don't want to do all the extra stuff. Please help us. So
Yeah.
like if you have a lot of games and you want to do like a quick just put the Switch 2 as your main console, it's super easy.
Yeah.
And the developers are also not expecting for you to just abandon your original Switch. Like they're doing this interaction with game sharing and everything like that. There's some people are still going to use their Switches. So like the
Right.
Switch One isn't going anywhere,
Right.
which is good. So it may mean that we will have like two versions of the same game, one for the Switch 2 and one for the Switch. So even
Yeah.
if the Switch 2 is a bit more expensive, you can
Yeah.
still get for the original one, even if it's a
Yeah.
digital version.
Like the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
Yeah,
There's going to be two
exactly.
versions for that. So, all right. So let's move on to price here. So, 449. We're talking U.S. dollars here, but I'll get to the Japanese side of things in a minute. But 449 for the main console. If you want the Mario Kart World bundle, that's 499. Pre-orders were supposed to start on April 9th, but because of uh, tariffs that obviously were imposed by, I'm not going to mention his name here on this podcast, but I think you all
That's
know who we're talking about here, that's implemented these. Now there's a big question mark now, and Nintendo has decided to postpone pre-orders. But yeah, I mean, 449. I think that's pretty much along the lines of what most of us were
yeah.
considering the price would
I
be, like between 400 or $500. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was me or Carl, I don't remember, who said 450, and that's straight on. In here the
Yeah.
price is 469 for the
Okay.
normal and
Okay.
409 for the version with Mario Kart,
Hmm.
but the tariff is included. Like we already have the
Right.
23% tariff. So
Right.
like the
They
price
knew
is pretty
this
much
type of
the
stuff was
same.
going to happen. They knew that they kind of thought about this beforehand and made the decisions that they did. So
Yeah, so for
yeah.
us, the price you're seeing is the full on, like, there's no add ons to that price. So it's pretty okay, I guess. And in here, like, I hear a lot of complaints about, like, oh, Nintendo never goes on sale, but that's not the reality we have here. Like, for example, the launch games, you can now pre order them and they have a 15% discount on price,
Right.
so they're a bit cheaper. And
Yeah.
like the local retailers do like a Nintendo Week every month where you can get games with a discount or three for the price of two or something like that.
Right.
And even in local shops, like sometimes for inventory and space, you can get really cool discounts. Like
Hmm.
Fubu got Metaphori Fantasio for like 49 euros, I believe, because it
Hmm.
was like a last minute sale, like last
Hmm.
units.
Hmm.
So I don't know, maybe the reality in other countries is different, but in here, like, I feel like there's always the opportunity to kind of wait. Like, if you feel like, okay, this is a bit much, maybe I'm gonna wait, just wait a little bit. Maybe
Yeah.
the price, you can get a cool promotion
Yeah.
in winter, New Year's, or
Yeah.
something like that. And there's always gonna be special editions.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, if you really want, you can get a Switch One, which
Yeah.
is a really
Well,
affordable price.
when I was watching the direct though, and I think some gamers might put the brakes on getting the console day one, because of this. Maybe not, but $80 for a digital copy of a new game, around
Yeah,
$90 for a physical version.
it's
Um,
expensive,
it's
yeah. But
very
then
expensive, but what I'm trying to say though is this could become a catalyst for the rest of the industry, because at the moment
it,
most games are around 70, $69 for a new game. But I think with
but
Nintendo doing this, they're testing the waters, and
the thing
I think
is,
I think
I,
the industry might follow suit. Yeah.
I think they're just following behind because, like, for us, like, the new Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation is already 80 euros. Like it's
Mm, mm.
79.99 or something like
Is
that.
that the special edition, like or like other special,
No, I think it was.
things
It's
added
the
to it?
normal edition. I think it
Okay,
was. Like I
standard
could be
edition.
wrong,
Okay.
but like more and more the prices are increasing. So like
Mm,
I, but then again, you got to think like Nintendo is a corporation,
right.
and ultimately like if the games were 60 and then you have this new SSD that goes into the cost because
Yeah.
like it costs 10 more or something like
Yeah.
that, that's going to be
Yeah.
reflected on the price. Like it's
Right.
not a charity, people, they're here to make money.
Right.
But I don't want to defend them or say it's wrong or right. It is what it is. But
Yeah.
then you see the tree houses and you see how great the games perform, like Metroid in
Right.
4K. Like there's really high definition. There's a big map on Mario World. Like
Oh yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to pay your developers.
Yeah.
Like
That's
you
true.
have to pay
Yeah.
people who work on this,
Yeah.
and that goes into the costs. Uh, It is
So
what
I'm
it is.
interested to know from all of you watching this here in the comments, how do you feel about the prices of new games that will be coming to the Switch 2, and then when it comes to the online service as well, if you want to use that chat feature, you have to have like an online account, I think it is. So I'm really
Yep.
interested to hear from you in the comments about that. And let me just mention the Japanese side of things here because I think this is interesting and bringing back region locking. Region locking was
Yay.
not a favorite feature for most gamers in the past, and obviously they did away with that. But it seems like Nintendo is going to be doing this now. So there's going to be two different versions of the Switch here in Japan. There's going to be a Japanese only version, so the Japanese only version is going to be around 341 US dollars. So that's 49,980 yen in Japanese. Whereas if you want the multi-language version, you're going to have to pay a lot more, 477 US dollars in today's currency exchange, which is in Japanese, Rokuman Kyusen yen. So yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I think one of the reasons for that is because they've in the past with China, and then when it comes to you know the black markets and everything like that, they're worried about that, so they want to have a Japanese only version.
yeah.
And so I
And
think for the consumers here in Japan, it's a good thing because it'll be cheaper, and that it shows that Nintendo is looking out for their home base of the
yeah.
consumer here. And of course, I live out here in Japan. I'm still kind of, obviously I speak Japanese fluently, so I can get the Japanese version. But
Yep.
of course, I like to play some games in English, so I'm kind of up in the air about which version
Debating.
I'm going to buy, but I'm kind of leaning towards the Japanese version because of the price. But anyway, so yeah, how do you feel about that, Leah? And the fact that here in Japan there's going to be a region locked version, whereas in in the rest of the world they're not going to have that.
I mean, to me, it's smart from Nintendo because number one, like they're a Japanese company. It's I don't know if it's manufactured there or not, but if it is,
Hmm.
like it makes sense to be cheaper where it's produced.
Yeah,
Otherwise, what we're doing.
yeah,
Second, very clever in the market that is going into recession. The
hmm,
yen is weaker
yeah,
than other. So if they're losing purchasing powers, it's good to have a more accessible console. So at least like even if it doesn't perform as well outwards, like the Japanese market's still gonna buy the console and go into it. And I don't know, like is that going to reflect on the games as well? Are we going to have like a Japanese version? Like I think we already do, right? There are games that have Japanese version and an
yes,
international version, right?
yes, yes,
Um, so yeah, maybe people aren't really happy about it, but
yeah,
to me, it makes sense. It's a smart strategy, and I think
yeah,
it's fair. Like if it's a Japanese company, it's released in Japan. It
yeah,
makes no sense to be as
yeah,
expensive as it is outwards because in here, like you
yeah,
have to export, you have the shipping cost, you
yeah.
don't have in Japan. So
Have you ever heard
but
of
also Japanese.
Duolingo? Have you ever heard of that? It's a kind of it's
Oh
an
yes.
application. Yes, Duolingo came out with a tweet kind of making fun of the situation. They said, "Learn Japanese and get the Switch for $100+ less." So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is classic
Oh
Duolingo.
yeah,
They just
yeah.
love
So
doing things like that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, learn Japanese and hey, there you go. It's like
There you go. Get a new
yeah,
Switch for free.
yeah. 日本語を勉強しますね. But yeah, so
Oh
but
my god.
anyway, any last thoughts about the direct and some other games that you might want to see come to the Switch 2 that they did not announce?
I mean, you know which game I want to come out. They haven't announced. Where's the new Animal Crossing,
Right,
Nintendo?
right, right, right. They're
I
gonna
mean,
they're that's next year's like holiday
yeah,
season
it is.
probably.
Like,
Yeah, I'm sure.
for
Yeah,
like the community and the science is like no news is good news,
right.
because we've seen that they're using Animal Crossing to promote like the game channel does. So
Yeah.
it is gonna play in the Switch too, and it means that with uh, Pocket Camp, like the updates are gonna stop around September.
Hmm.
So from there on, next year you might hear something, and we have Tomodachi Live to hold us until then because it's also coming next year. And yeah, I think, uh, I don't know. Like, I would love also to have some like Game Boy or other like Nintendo dogs. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
they're picking up old franchises as well, like
yeah.
Pikmin and other codes. So why not bring like um, Nintendo dogs back? So something obscure and strange like that. And I'm super excited that we also have Professor Layton is coming later, I think
Yeah.
this year. So all in all, it's fun. Like, we have really cool games, and I can always expect the unexpected from Nintendo. I think we have a great lineup. We have way more games in launching for the Nintendo Switch than I thought it would be. Like, I knew like Mario Kart, but have a new Donkey Kong. We have Metroid. We have Hyrule Warriors. God knows what else. Everything you have on the Switch One,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one thing I'm really excited, which hallelujah, thank you Nintendo, the Zelda notes for
Yeah,
Breath of the
definitely.
Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah,
Like, that is
yeah,
savior. And
yeah.
I've seen more information, and apparently there's a really cool feature where
Hmm.
you can visit places and there's voice notes from certain characters.
Yeah,
So it adds on the experience of the game. And I think that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, I'm interested in the future when I get Carl back on the show here with me to talk about Xbox and whether like Indy Jones would be a perfect example of a game that
Right.
could possibly come to the Switch too. South of Midnight that's coming out next
Oh,
week.
it'd be perfect
Uh,
as well.
Games like that from Xbox Game Studios. It'll be interesting in the upcoming months and into the future to see what kind of partnerships and relationships that will be made with Nintendo moving forward. I'm sure that Xbox is probably in negotiations right now with them, so
Oh yeah,
I'm
for
really
sure.
interested to see that. So but yeah, like right now, I mean, initially with PlayStation, you got the Final Fantasy and the From Software working together with Nintendo now. That's pretty cool. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's a pretty clear indicator that
Mm.
mobility is here to stay. Like,
Yeah,
portable consoles
yeah,
are kind of the future of gaming.
yeah,
More and more we're having, and the fact that like every company and game wants to be on the Switch, and there is
right,
such a focus on improving the hardware to play these games. It
yeah,
tells us about that
right,
maybe the future of gaming is portable.
right.
Something
So
pretty
final
awesome.
question for you, Leah.
Yes,
Gonna drop it on you now. Is it a
let's
day
go.
one purchase for you? Switch 2?
I don't know.
June 5th. I'm thinking for me personally, my birthday is at the end of June, so maybe it'll be a birthday present.
My birthday is also in June, mid June.
Yeah. Yeah, June 24th
So,
is my birthday, so yeah. So
yeah, mine is 15. But I don't know
oh,
because,
you're same day as my daughter's birthday, June 15th.
oh, look at
Nice.
that.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah.
And I want to because like this is a great console and the
Yeah.
Mario Kart pack is really good.
Yeah.
But then again, like in the back of my mind, I was like, I didn't get the special Animal Crossing edition when it came
Yeah.
out because I
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
had a Switch. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I get it or if I wait a little bit. Maybe we get a
Yeah.
Tomodachi Life edition. Like
Yeah.
I'm pondering. I'm gonna get one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is no question.
Yeah.
But I'm indecisive about that because I would love like a really pretty edition that's kind of
Right.
because it's just black at this moment.
Yeah.
And I think it's great, it's very sleek, but like for example the OLED of Tears of the Kingdom,
Hmm.
gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
like absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also wanted to see if like something like that comes up.
Yeah, for me, it's. I mean, I have Splatoon 3. I don't get a chance to play it very often, but I would love to try to play it on the Switch too. Um, Probably I'll get the bundle with the Mario Kart World, and then wait until the Hyrule Warriors game comes out and just play some of my other games like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Play it on
Yep,
there and see the enhancements and how it runs. I'm really interested to see that. So, but yeah, yeah, it'll probably be a birthday type of thing for me. So probably not
that's great.
day one, because here in Japan, I'm going to tell you right now, and those of you that are listening that live out here in Japan with me here, it's going to fly off the shelves, and you're probably not going to be able to pick one up on day one anyway, because
Oh yeah,
pre-orders are probably going to be really really big as well too. So I'm thinking probably a few weeks later, around my birthday time, that'll be the perfect time
yeah,
to swoop in and
that's
get
great.
one. So yeah. Okay, last thing before we finish the podcast, Leah, what game are you going to be playing this week? For me, still, I'm going to be working on Assassin's Creed Shadows and getting some more gameplay walkthroughs out on the YouTube channel. And then I want to try to start South of Midnight and get some gameplay walkthroughs up as well on that. So I'm really excited for that game, but
That's cool.
I'm having so much fun with Assassin's Creed Shadows at the moment. I'm continuing with that. How about you?
I'm game hopping, so Breath of the Wild, Pocket Camp, Cat Quest, Civilization, everything and anything in between.
Nice, nice.
So
All right. So thank you so much for coming on. It's great to see you again. And for all of you, of course, here on YouTube, please be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell for when we drop another episode of the Arena Gaming News podcast, as well as all of our other video game and all of my other entertainment related content here on the Arena Productions. And I thank you so much for all of your support for viewing all of the content here that I create here on the Arena Productions. And of course, the Patreon version will also be going up to my Patreon at patreon.com/the Arena Productions. And that is our ad free version of the show. So come and join us over on Patreon as well, and come and support my content over there. So, but anyway, want to thank you all. So this has been episode 207 of the Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast. I've been your host, Expat, along with my contributor, LeaTheHatless. So thank you so much for joining, and we hope to catch you in the next one. So take care and have a great week of gaming, everyone. Peace
bye.
out.